Matt, Gail, EROCK, Evan, the homie Mike. Ain't no show keeping up in sight.
Good question.
Yeah. When you watching them birds play, thoughts go through your mind about some misplays. Backstage politics, who's next on the trade block? Tune in to 4th and Jawn, get your answers, bruh. If you be in the city, just know that we get busy. Anytime there's a whole game tailgate, we lit. Cheering on them birds, singing that fight song. E-A-G-L-E-S, we on, look. We from Philly. If you don't know, we run these streets the same way the birds run that NFC East. Giants is weak, Skins is trash. Cowboys every season whoop that ass. Look, it ain't no competition. We here for those who listen. Want nothing but the facts. That ego coalition. We could give two fucks about your trash ass team. Our concern is about that black, that white, that midnight green. The feathers on the helmet, bruh, our hearts indebted. Fly Eagles fly, what it's about, bruh. I said it. Look up.
But I just gotta know one thing. Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
Takes the snap. He's back. He steps up. He fires. It's intercepted. Patrick Robinson. He's at the 45, the 50, the 45. That's what they needed. Patrick Robinson picked it off.
What's up, Philadelphia? We are live, broadcasting from the beautiful new media studios right outside of Philadelphia. Welcome to the 2017 Week 17 edition of the 4th and Jawn Show. Boys and girls, on Christmas Day against the Oakland Raiders on Monday Night Football, your 2017 Philadelphia Eagles came out of there with a victory and locked up the number 1 seed in the NFC, which guarantees them not only a first-round bye, but home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Meaning, the road to the Super Bowl goes through Philadelphia. That was the appropriate response, but honestly, leaving the link, this game had me feeling a little some sort of way, a little different, a little un-EROCK-like. Now listen, you guys know me. I stand up here every Tuesday and scream into this microphone, preaching the gospel straight from the book of 4th and Jawn. Our people congregate on the holiest of days, Sunday, in front of our church, Lincoln Financial Field, and I preach positivity. I preach never give up. I preach never say die. I preach always bleed green. But I don't know, man. After leaving the link, I had a moment of clarity. I had a clear thought. They don't happen often, but it happened leaving the link this game. And it's my pinned tweet. I thought to myself, for the 3rd straight week, I am leaving a different stadium with the same result. A W, but for some reason, it feels like an L. And I don't get it, man. I don't know how to explain how I feel. I don't know how to articulate or properly speak upon how I'm feeling inside, but it's un-EROCK-like. I mean, I feel like one of those bad 90s TV shows where there's a devil and an angel on your shoulder. And the angel's saying to me, listen, bud, you should be happy. They just got home field advantage throughout. And then the devil appears on my shoulder. And he says, home field advantage? You were supposed to have home field advantage with the cold. You played like shit in the cold. That was the one thing we were supposed to do good because we're playing all dome teams and warm weather teams. And then the angel on my shoulder goes, listen, man, this is what we say when we say every man up. This is what you've been preaching, EROCK. This is what you've been preaching all along. If the defense is shit in the bed, like against the Giants, the offense is going to help pick that side of the ball up. And conversely, if the offense has got a ticket to the struggle bus yesterday, the defense is going to be able to pull it out and lift that side of the team. And then the devil appears on my shoulder and tells me, look, man, unless you can get, that's all well and good. You can win against bad teams like that with one side of the ball playing like shit. If you can't put together a complete game, You're only going to play one game in the playoffs. And then the angel on my shoulder says all the coaching staff has to do is protect Nick Foles and make sure they put him in the best position to win. And then the devil gets on my shoulder and says, did you just watch that fucking game? Did you just see what happened there? I don't know. I don't know how to express how I'm feeling. I don't know how to articulate how I'm feeling. So I'm going to rely on not only the people in this studio here tonight, but the listening audience, the people that are going to call in, the people that are going to tweet in, because we're going to start reading some tweets live on air as they come in. I need you to help me, because I locked myself in a room, man. Today I just locked I didn't listen to any sports radio. I took a look at the timeline in the morning briefly. That was a fucking war zone. That was like a meat grinder. Body parts just flying everywhere. Blood splattered everywhere. I'm like, oh, I put that app down. I'm not going to go near Twitter today. So I need you guys to help me because I can't be the only one. I'm not being overly negative, but I'm not being overly positive right now. You tell me, Dr. Phil EROCK today. Because, Gail, you were there last night on Christmas.
I was.
As you were standing next to me as I'm dressed like an asshole like Santa Claus. It was uncharacteristic of me, right?
Yeah, a little sad Santa going on.
A little sad Santa.
Yeah, maybe.
A little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
A little bit.
But I might have the diagnosis for your issue.
Please.
It's called PTCD. It's post-traumatic Carson disorder. So,
all right,
Eagle fans out there and players alike, all have to deal with life after Carson Wentz going down. So, I mean, last week was the offense that played well. The defense was bad. This week was the offense. What team do we have? We really have to realize what has happened to us. Like, we're all in. I mean, shock can last a couple of weeks, you know what I'm saying? But, like, at the end of the day, they got a dub, and good teams find a way to win. Now, as basic as Nick Foles looked yesterday, a guy in 2016 who was on his way to a MVP candidate season got hurt. He looked like shit yesterday too. To play just as poorly as Nick Foles. Let us not forget that Chance Warmack is playing left guard, and we were taking the chance with Nick Foles' life with Warmack there. What's his name? Big V has been basic as well. But, I mean, fans have every reason to be concerned. I mean, Nick Foles had a little MC Hammer feet in the back. He looked nervous, missed a lot of throws that were, there to be made, whether it be the Zach Ertz touchdown throw. Could have been touchdown if he threw it early enough. A couple throws to Alshon were late. So, it's cold. It's cold out there. And it's 20-degree weather.
Exactly.
And the thing that we have to remind ourselves is, we wanted to be home. We're now in these harsh environments. And every quarterback that comes through here has to play in these environments as well, whether they're warm weather teams or dome teams. But that's the honest truth. And now it's like, all right, this team has to regroup, refocus. This Dallas game is important just for tempo reasons, getting this team back to where they were. So.
Exactly. It's cold, and I don't know what I was necessarily expecting, right? Because, I do know what I was expecting. I was expecting to go back to Lincoln Financial Field after a 3-game away stretch, right?
Holiday beatdown.
And a holiday beatdown. Take this bad team in the Oakland Raiders, this warm-weather California team, show them what a harsh environment Philadelphia can be when the weather's below freezing and the wind's blowing and the crowd's noisy and all that. And I expected to come out and figure it out and dominate. And for the first part of it, I was like, okay, all right, I see what you're doing. Because on the first drive, the Eagles had 3 passes, went 3 and out. 3 passes, 3 and out. Second drive, 8 runs, 2 passes. Nobody but a running back touched the ball. It was Blunt. It was Ajayi. It was Blunt. It was Ajayi. It was Clement. It was Blunt. It was Ajayi. A dang, a dang, a dang, a dang, a dang. And they just imposed their will on the Oakland Raiders defense. The drive before that, when the Oakland Raiders had the ball, I saw what Jim Schwartz was doing with the game plan. And I was like, okay, I feel you. because they had Ellaby in there playing middle linebacker. You touched on it before earlier when we were talking about, we had a great Twitter question, what Eagle would you want on this roster? And you said Jeremiah Trotter. Ellaby's a Jeremiah Trotter. There's a run stuffer. Ooh, look at Malcolm Jenkins sneaking into the box. Oh, is that a run blitz? Do I see Bradham on a run blitz? Ooh, the corners are pressing. Look at Ronald Darby. Dodging an offensive lineman on the outside, sticking tackles, making physical plays. I like this defensive game plan. This is how the postseason is going to look. This is a little appetizer for the postseason. You're going to run the rock. You're going to run it again. When you're done running that rock, you're going to run it again. You're just going to jam it down the throat. Because, Gail, you were telling me, I don't play football. You've played in the cold. That shit fucking hurts, right?
You got to hit somebody, man.
And then all of a sudden, for the remainder of the game, they only had 13 more rushes the entire game.
It's fucking crazy.
Nick Foles couldn't climb the pocket with a ladder. I've never seen a quarterback run backwards more in my life. Playing scared. Putting Nick Foles in a position where you were asking him to do too much in bad weather.
38 times, to be exact.
It's way too much.
In cold weather.
So I don't know what I was. I know what I was expecting. Let me say that. I know what I was expecting. That wasn't fucking it that I saw last night on Christmas. And it's got me feeling some sort of way. Maybe the listeners can break down and kind of either talk. I'm not sure I need to be talked off the ledge or given a pep talk or given a cold dose of reality, something like that. We got Philly Mike working the social media. He's going to be taking your tweets, your Twitter questions, and everything. You were there.
I was
there,
sir.
How are you feeling?
Feeling all right. I'm finally warm. That was fucking cold as shit last night. The whole tailgate in general was fucking freezing. By the way, the tailgate was fucking awesome. Thank you for everybody that came out. Merry Christmas to all you guys as well. And you know what? Christmas. Fucking, you've been preaching that we need to stay balanced, right?
Yes,
with
sir.
the pass and rushing.
Yes, sir.
38 times for Nick Foles of passing. And then you have 21 rushing plays. Are you kidding me? Foles went 19 for 38. Then another stat that really blew my mind is that we only rushed the ball 4 times in the second half. That really gave me a lot of concern as it was. And you know what? If we just had the offense from the Giants and then the defense from this game, then I'm fully confident in going into the playoffs. But having one of these sides of the ball doing this once a week or an every other week thing, it's going to be a cause of concern for me for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they have to come up with a better plan for Nick Foles to make him succeed. You know, like if you get a good game plan for him, then like if you need to max protect, if you need to go 2-man routes, I like what they did early. They went 13 personnel with 3 tight ends. That was nice. They were moving the ball. If you have to do some tempo here and there, do that. But it seemed like they were very predictable. And then another thing was the penalties that really
penalties were really hurting as well. Yeah, and you know what? We had to get the receivers going too. It took us like really late in the game to get the receivers going with that Jake Elliott field goal that we still haven't even talked about yet. That got us to win the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is kind of the mood. We're sitting here talking about a W, but we're kind of talking about it like a loss. Mike, while you're on the social media tip, let's do a Twitter poll real quick.
Okay.
Because we're not going to break down the Dallas game. You know, it's a meaningless game for us. We're probably going to be resting more than a handful of starters in that game. And there's an argument to be made that Nick Foles should be in there, and we'll get into that. But it's meaningless for Dallas. It's pretty meaningless for the Philadelphia Eagles. So we're not going to sit there and break down the numbers of a meaningless game. What I want to kind of do is wrap our head around the next 3 weeks and what we have ahead of us and what the Philadelphia Eagles have ahead of us to get prepared for the game. So the Twitter poll I got it written down is going to be, what concerns you most going into the playoffs? The offense or the quarterback, the defense or the coaching? Because I want to make sure you time it out right so we can get to it towards the end of the show. But I really want to kind of get the people's I want to hear from everybody. And we're going to start opening up the phone lines at about 8:30. Call-in number is 215-515-2924. Because I really I'm seeing so many people to the left and the right. And I want to hear from both of them. Because I'm somewhere in the middle, and I'm having trouble figuring out where exactly I want to go. Gail, you were just talking about the overall game plan. And, Evan, I know you're on the soundboard. We'll get to you in a second. I know on the soundboard you have a little something from Doug Peterson's press conference today.
I know. Has Carson's absence and Nick's presence changed anything about the way defenses are defending your running game? I mean, has it made anything different? Is it changing in any way?
Not really. We're still seeing, 7 and 8 man boxes. I mean, just like we did with Carson, with Carson in there, with the ability of the RPOs, you're going to have an 8 man box with safeties and things of that nature. We're still seeing it even with Nick. So the run game, defensively, we're not seeing anything real dramatically different between the two.
Are you at all inclined to lean on a particular guy anymore? Maybe get Jay more touches?
I think about that too, and obviously, I'm big about if it's not broke, don't fix it. We just got to get better at it. So the plan would still be to continue the way we're going.
And that's the one I wanted. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Newsflash for Doug Peterson is not the same offense with Carson Wentz or without Carson Wentz. This is not the same offense with Nick Foles. You've got to kind of tailor this game plan, not only to Nick Foles and his weaknesses and strengths, but you got to tailor it to the cold weather. This is supposed to be our advantage. Look, the home field crowd at Lincoln Financial Field, they will do their part every single time, day in and day out. The weather is the thing that's supposed to be driving this quote-unquote home field advantage. You're built for the cold. You're built to impose your will upon people. Aggressive defense and running the ball. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You better fix fucking something, because what you did against the Oakland Raiders was not acceptable. It was just not an acceptable game plan.
And it was something that was interesting. Is the Boo Birds made their way out.
The Boo Birds on hashtag booing on Christmas.
Booing on Christmas, as you talk about the game plan. And it's not so much that the Eagle fans were upset with the players, so much so. It was more that they were upset with the game plan. We know the ability of this team and the weapons that they have and the way that they were utilizing the players. I felt the whole energy of the crowd being like, what the fuck is going on right now? And that was the one thing that hit me. I was like, damn, these Boo Birds out. But then I was like, they do have a reason right now, because the game plan, the way that Doug is actually presenting this offense, was pretty demoralizing.
And I saw Derek Gunn on the timeline as right after they booed, because I wanted to see, all right, who else is tweeting about it? Derek Gunn's like, I can't believe they're booing during Christmas. And I'm like, watch this be another fucking negative thing.
13-2 and they're booing their team.
They're booing their team on Christmas, just like they threw snowballs at Santa Claus. But just like the whole snowballs at Santa Claus thing was kind of like a misconception, because they were upset at the team and slinging snowballs because it was a sloppy Santa. Yeah. That was a sloppy game. That was a sloppy, and maybe that's part of the reason why I feel the way I feel is because it was bad football. It was just bad football. You can take a look at the defense. In the final 8 possessions, the Eagles forced 5 turnovers. They also gave the ball up a lot. They were handed a lot of those turnovers. I mean, credit, tip their hat to them, but they were also handed a lot of those. I was just watching third preseason game of the year football, and it was disappointing.
I mean, you really have to the elements are the elements.
Yeah.
Just like tailgating in 20-degree weather. Not everyone's built for that type of tailgating, but we are. We are the 4th and Jawn crew. But this weather is not built for everybody. Not everyone's built. You could be. I've seen guys that play football who are amazing when it's in the summertime and it's September, October. But when it gets fucking cold and dudes get hit, some guys aren't the same. So. I mean, this weather had a big deal with the way they play.
It's like me. I love the warm weather.
And then you get Chihuahua cold.
And then I get Chihuahua shaking like a Chihuahua when I'm cold. Working the soundboard today is our boy, Evan Bubblegum here. How are you today, sir? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. The one thing that's a problem with that, Gail, is the fact that the important games in football are played in the coldest times of winter. So, I mean, I felt a little bit better in the stat that you just talked about with the final 8 possessions, them having 5 turnovers. The Eagles' defense was able to turn it around. But Jesus Christ, man, this offense, they could not get anything going the entire game. And the play calling just seems kind of asinine that, the run to pass ratio, it was heavy run on the second drive, like you said.
Yeah,
and
heavy run.
Yeah, and that worked.
Yeah.
And why I don't understand with Doug Peterson why when things are working like that, he goes away from it. kind of Andy Reid.
That's Andy. You took the words right out of it. That's very Andy.
And so, also another point that it was obvious to everybody that was watching the game, whether you were there or you're watching from TV, is that they were showing highlights of Carson Wentz and him earlier in the season. And, just the stark, difference between him and Nick Foles is so night and day. Yeah. And, the special year that the Eagles were having with Carson Wentz and the defense, the way they were vibing, it just kind of feels like Clark Griswold from Christmas Vacation when he thinks he's going to get, the big bonus. He's going to be able to put the pool in his backyard. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he gets the Jelly of the Month Club subscription for the full year. He just got the rug taken out from under us, man.
It's like going from Michael Jackson to Tito Jackson. You know what I mean?
That is not a good. That is not a
go Tito.
That is not a good transition, my man. So we've got and I'm just going to talk.